good afternoon to members of the media and the listening public. Bermuda's economy continues to expand and demonstrate positive economic performance. During the third quarter of 2023, Bermuda's economy grew by an estimated 8.3% year-over-year after adjusting for inflation. This marks the fastest pace of growth in the last 2 years and the fourth consecutive quarter of real economic growth. Economic expansion in the third quarter was a direct result of increase in the external balance of goods and services, along with an increase in household and government expenditures. Gross domestic product and current prices increased 8.9% year-over-year during the quarter. Additionally, first quarter GDP estimates have been revised downwards from 4.6% to 4.5%. And second quarter estimates have been revised upwards from 2.3% to a 3.9% increase. The third quarter GDP estimates signifies 3 quarters of strong economic performance in 2023 for the Bermudian economy. Consumer spending in the third quarter increased 3.1% year-over-year to $812.1 million. Consumption of services increased 2.2% year-over-year, reflected in high expenditure on air transport, catering services, and personal care services. Spending on non-durable goods rose 3.1%, influenced primarily by increased spending on electricity, clothing and footwear, and tobacco. Spending on durable goods rose 0.8% due to increased expenditure on furniture, furnishings, and telecommunications equipment. Employment income in the third quarter was 7.1% above 2022 levels. Employment income in the following industries increased in the third quarter of 2023. International business, hotel and restaurants, banking, insurance, and real estate activity, wholesale and retail, construction, transport, and communication. The third quarter growth in employee remuneration in these sectors is positive, and the income levels continue to outpace pre-pandemic employment income levels. The island hosted 61,451 air visitors during the third quarter of 2023, up from 52,065 in the third quarter of 2022. Estimated expenditure by air visitors increased by $111.5 million, from $75.3 million recorded in the third quarter of 2022. Consumption by the government increased 4.5% during the quarter, with high expenditure on insurance, salaries, and material and supplies. Gross capital formation dipped by 0.9% to $203.4 million. Investment related to construction declined 4.9%. However, investment in machinery and equipment increased by 3% due to higher imports of medical and transportation equipment. Bermuda's trade balance rose 31.3% to $387.2 million because of growth in receipts for the export of goods and services, outpacing the growth of payments for imports of goods and services. Exports of goods and services increased by 9.4% during the quarter, due primarily to increased receipts related to travel services. Imports of goods and services decreased 5.4% as payments fell, with lower imports on fuel, furnished equipment, basic materials, and semi-manufactured goods. Bermuda's business ecosystem remains robust, and total business registration increased year-over-year, bringing the complete business register to 16,307. There were 314 new businesses registered in Bermuda during the third quarter of 2023. The third quarter economic performance highlights Bermuda's economy continuing to strengthen. The government will continue to facilitate the expansion and stability of Bermuda's economy by creating a business environment that allows companies to thrive. The government's focus will be shifted primarily to the execution of the economic development strategy and the initiatives that are contained within that strategy to ensure Bermuda experience continued economic growth and development. For more information, the public is urged to review the third quarter 2023 quarterly GDP by expenditure publication available at the Department of Statistics website online at gov.bm. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. We now welcome questions from the media.
Good afternoon. My name is Oliver Solomon. I'm from the Royal Gazette. I have two questions. I don't know if you could answer this about the first quarter of this year, but when you compare it to last year, how is the economy performing? And the second question has to do with the pre-pandemic performance of the economy. How is it going right now when compared to, let's say, 2019?
Two good questions. So I indicated that there was economic growth in the first, second, and third quarters of 2023, which means that the growth is real growth over the 2022 numbers, indicating that the economy continues to expand. It proves that the economy is robust. It proves that we are trending in the right direction. As it pertains to pre-pandemic levels, our economy has exceeded pre-pandemic levels. And so the growth that we see now is exceeding the level of economic performance or economic activity than we would have experienced in 2019 pre-pandemic.
Okay, one last question. You mentioned 3,000, or is it 319 jobs, I'm not too sure. Sorry, not jobs, international businesses, or is it local businesses were created?
So the 314 jobs are local businesses created.
Local?
Correct.
Okay, that's... Thank you.
Good afternoon, Minister.
Good afternoon.
So I just wanted to check on a couple of stats that you mentioned about the growth in certain sectors. You said that employment income had increased 7.1%. Do you have the breakdown of the sectors from international business, hotels, etc.?
Most definitely. And so in international business, the growth was 11.4%. In hotels and restaurants, the growth was 10.2%. In banking, insurance, and real estate, the growth was 2.4%. In wholesale and retail, the growth was 6%. In construction, the growth was 3.8%. In transport and communication, the growth was 12.5%. And that led to an overall growth of 7.1%.
Thank you very much, Minister. And I just wanted to follow on my media colleague's question about the 319 new local businesses. So can you explain what sectors those are in? Or do you have any kind of breakdown of how that's split?
Business registration is not broken down by industrial sectors.
Okay.
But I can give you the breakdown that I currently have.
Thank you.
If you can just action that question,
yeah.
So I will
yes,
just
certainly.
locate the data table.
So I was noting that this is the quarter 3 2023 is the first where we have the equivalent GDP report for the quarter in 2019. I just want to have that GDP prices and the current prices for the quarter quarter three, 2023. Do you have that with you, or will that be coming out after this press conference?
So we will release the GDP numbers after this press conference.
Okay.
But that will contain both current and constant prices.
Okay, thank you. So,
when we talked about the breakdown in terms of new registrations,
oh yes, please.
so 77 would have been what we consider to be non-exempt companies, which would be local companies. 208 would be exempt. 27 would be exempt partnership, and only 2 of those would be non-resident.
Okay.
But they're all locally registered companies.
All locally registered companies. Thank you, Minister. So the curiosity I had, now that we have a slightly more equivalent comparison to 2019's GDP. And I have it in front of me that constant prices were estimated about 1,558.6 million then, and that's I wondered, do you have that number here of what it was for 2023, for quarter 3 2023?
The third quarter.
The third quarter, yes, the actual dollar figure.
I can provide you with that.
We'll get that straight. Oh, we can get that now. Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. So in the third quarter, at constant prices, it will be $1,612.6 million.
6, okay.
And in current prices, that will be $1,959.8 million.
Great. Thank you.
And that's in current prices.
Current prices, yes. Thank you very much. What I'm looking at, and look at cumulative price changes in the US, because I haven't worked out been able to work out the local statistics. Cumulative price changes from 2019 to 2023 were about 19.18%. Average inflation rate maybe about 4.5%. So looking at 2019 as the idea, perhaps a better marker of where we're going, where we want to be, getting back to pre-pandemic levels. Do you think we need a lengthier picture in our GDP numbers to give us a real sense of which sectors are growing, which sectors need more help, etc.? Do you think, when we look at our GDP notes, do you think we could do with a lengthier picture?
So as I indicated, we have exceeded 2019 GDP levels. In the annual GDP publication, you will get it broken down by industrial sector. How we conduct the quarterly GDP numbers is by the expenditure approach. So you're not going to see it industry by industry as it pertains to which industries are performing relatively well or which industries are actually struggling. But that breakdown is given when we put out our annual GDP numbers.
Now, we already know that IB has seen particularly strong growth compared to other sectors. For your insights into where we are right now, obviously overall our economy looks like it's growing, but there is one sector that is particularly showing strength. What stats or figures would demonstrate to you that other sectors are seeing growth above inflation?
So when we looked at 2022 annual GDP, what we actually found is that the growth came from the domestic economy and not from international business. You would be reminded that the largest contributor to growth actually came from our local financial and insurance activity sector, which is our domestic economy and not considered international business. So there is growth happening outside of international business. When we released that particular publication, there were a number of industrial sections outside of international business that showed growth. I don't have those on me right now, but certainly we have a time series going backwards. So you can see how those particular sectors have trended, as well as we kind of do 5-year averages as well, so you can tell how those sectors have trended over the last 5 years. However, that particular trend wouldn't be as relevant now as moving forward because of the pandemic, and we had years of economic contraction, which kind of throws off the way in which the economy was trending in 2019. But what we see is a general rebound in a number of industries where we see growth.
And for just a reminder for ourselves and for the public, when we get those bigger picture publications, when will that be?
Those are annually, and so the 2023 annual GDP would come out to the back end of this fiscal year.
Back end of this. And just from you being in there, seeing all the numbers, where do you think the problem areas are right now for our economy?
I think it's difficult to identify an area as a problem area. There is areas in which there is opportunity where we can continue to expand economic activity, and those are the areas that we have identified in the economic development strategy. We have what we consider to be sectors that contribute to the overall growth, which are our largest sectors, which is our international business sector. Then we have local financial and insurance activity sector and our real estate sector, which is the largest 3 sectors within our economy. Those continue to progress in a positive direction. Then we have sectors that contribute to employment growth, and those would be wholesale and retail. Those would be our international business sector. That will be our hospitality sector as well. We've seen a rebound in terms of hospitality, not to pre-pandemic levels, but growth rate moving out of the pandemic slumps that we have experienced in the past. And then there are growth sectors such as agriculture. We're going to move forward with a green economy and a blue economy strategy, and hopefully those particular sectors create additional jobs. So we are trying to provide robust economic expansion throughout multiple industrial sectors within the economy as pertains to the items that we've identified in the economic development strategy that we'll focus on over the next year.
Okay. And if you'll indulge just one question on the recent consultation to retain the workforce, still on the economy. The consultation period is still going, but have you had any insight or from the feedback that's come back to some of the recommendations when it comes to protecting the Bermudian workforce, shortening the path to PRC? Have you got any impression of the feedback?
Well, most definitely. Outside of having the consultation paper on the forum's website, we also engaged in stakeholder meetings. And I've been engaged in a number of stakeholder meetings where we walked through each and every proposal, and the stakeholders were able to give their feedback on their support or where they believe a proposal can be tweaked. And what I would say is the extremely positive thing about having those particular meetings is, number one, across the board, everybody identifies and understands that there is a problem and that requires a solution. Secondly, there are persons that understand that we need to act now. And thirdly, there was no fundamental challenges with the solutions we put in place. There were minor tweaks and additional consideration. You have some people that are cautious and always ask for additional data and whether or not we can build some protections around some of the policy solutions that we put in place. But I would say that the feedback has been extremely positive, and you will see that what we propose that we're going to implement may not be 100% in alignment with our original position that we put out in the policy paper, based on taking on that feedback.
Okay. Obviously, perhaps part of that policy that you may have expected some response to would be the shortening of the road to PRC. Has that been well received? Or have you seen some resistance? So,
like I articulated just now, I haven't had any fundamental objections to what has been set out in the policy paper. There is areas of caution, and there are areas where persons have access to build further protections or tweak certain areas. but persons generally understand, based off of where we are and demographic challenge we're going to have in the future, that we need to act now. But persons want us to be, number one, cautious and responsible in the way in which we act, and I think that the government is moving in that direction.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, that is the final question. Minister, do you have any closing remarks?
Certainly, the news that was released today is extremely positive. The economy continues to trend in the right direction. And so when our economy trends in the right direction, more jobs are created within in our economy, and then we're able to fill those jobs with able-bodied Bermudians and guest workers where there is a mismatch between the skills that are demanded and the skills that are actually supplied. According to the economic development strategy, we will continue to execute on those particular initiatives so that we can have a sustainable economy that we can all enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. That concludes the press conference. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a great day.